I didn't raise my voice when I asked her. It was 3 days before her birthday party, and we were standing in the kitchen after dinner, plates still in the sink, the house quiet. I told her calmly that I was excited about the gathering. Both of our families were coming. My parents, her parents, cousins, a few close friends. Then I said the only thing I needed to say. "I'd rather you didn't invite Mark," I told her. She looked up from her phone. "Why?" "You've joked before that he's your backup plan. It'll be awkward with our families here." I kept my tone neutral, not accusing, not jealous, just practical. She stared at me for a second, then laughed. "Are you serious right now?" "I am." "Oh my God," she said, shaking her head. "You're reading way too much into a joke." Maybe she was right. Maybe I was overthinking it, but the way she dismissed it so quickly made something inside me tighten. "I'm not trying to control anything," I said. "I'm just asking." She shrugged and picked up her glass of water. "It's my birthday. I can invite whoever I want." That was the end of the conversation, or at least the end of it for her. The day of the party, the house filled with noise and movement. My mother arrived early with a cake box that was bigger than the fridge shelf. Her father came carrying a bottle of wine like it was a trophy. Cousins laughed in the living room. Someone turned music on too loud and then turned it down again when the older relatives started complaining. It felt like a normal family gathering. For a while, I forgot about the conversation in the kitchen. I moved through the house shaking hands, pouring drinks, helping people find chairs, the kind of invisible work that keeps gatherings running smoothly. My wife looked happy, laughing with her sister, opening small gifts early, moving from group to group. For a moment, I wondered if I had imagined the tension. Then the doorbell rang. She walked to the door before I could reach it. When she opened it, I saw him immediately. Mark, tall, confident, smiling like he belonged there. "Hey, birthday girl," he said, holding up a small gift bag. My wife lit up. "You made it!" Something quiet settled inside my chest. Not anger, not even embarrassment yet. Just confirmation. She hadn't forgotten what I asked. She had simply decided it didn't matter. She brought him into the living room and began introducing him around. "This is Mark," she said casually. "A friend from work." Some people nodded politely. Others glanced at me briefly before looking away. Nobody asked questions, but people noticed things. My aunt raised her eyebrows slightly when Mark pulled up a chair next to my wife. My father watched quietly from across the room. Still, the party continued. Mark laughed loudly, told long stories, and somehow kept drifting back toward my wife in every conversation circle. She seemed comfortable with it. Too comfortable. At one point, I heard him say something that made her laugh so hard she touched his arm. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't inappropriate. But it wasn't invisible either. Later in the evening, my uncle found me near the kitchen. He's the kind of man who rarely interferes in anything. He didn't look angry, just thoughtful. "Who's that guy?" he asked quietly, nodding toward the living room. "Friend of hers from work," I said. My uncle watched for a moment before speaking again. Strange guest for a family birthday. His tone wasn't judgmental, just honest. That moment stayed with me, because it confirmed something I'd been trying to ignore. Other people could see it too. As the night went on, the atmosphere shifted slightly. Nothing obvious, just small pauses in conversation, subtle glances. Eventually, my grandfather, who has never cared much about social politeness, spoke up from his chair. He pointed toward Mark. "And how do you know our birthday girl?" he asked. The room grew quieter. Mark hesitated. My wife jumped in quickly. "Oh, we work together," she said with a laugh. My grandfather nodded slowly. "Ah," he said. "Interesting choice for a family gathering." He didn't say anything else, but the comment landed. Mark checked his phone a few minutes later and stood up. "Hey, I actually need to head out," he said. He hugged my wife quickly, waved to the room, and left. The door closed behind him. The party continued. People started talking again. Music returned. But something in the room had shifted permanently. When the last guest left and the house finally fell quiet, my wife started cleaning up wrapping paper. "You were quiet tonight," she said. I nodded. "I guess?" She looked at me carefully. "Are you still upset about earlier?" I thought about it for a moment. Then I shook my head. No. And that was the truth. Because the feeling I had now wasn't anger. It was distance. For the first time, I understood something clearly. A boundary ignored often enough stops being a boundary. It becomes a message. And the message I received that night was simple. My voice in the marriage had become optional. I didn't argue with her. I didn't accuse her. But something inside me stepped back quietly. She noticed it over the following weeks. The way I stopped pushing for conversations. The way certain things simply stopped mattering to me. And sometimes she would look at me with confusion, like she couldn't understand what had changed. But I knew exactly when it happened. It started the moment the door opened, and ended the moment I realized I no longer needed to explain why it hurt.